Hello everyone, this is Faye Renee. Welcome back to Reviews with Faye Renee. Yes, today we are going to review a blockbuster of a film. Yep, today we are going to review Judas and the Black Messiah. Yes, baby, this is the one. This is the film that should make you super excited about going back into the theaters to see a movie after so long. This is a powerful film with equally powerful performances. So without further ado, let's review Judas and the Black Messiah. Judas and the Black Messiah was produced and directed by Shaka King. It includes a plethora of A-list actors, starring Daniel Kaluuya, woo! Lakeith Stanfield, Jesse Plemons, and Martin Sheen. I gotta do a small history lesson for those that don't know. The original Black Panthers were founded by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale out in Oakland, California back in 1966. The movement was extremely popular and it grew really fast with several chapters throughout the United States. Yes, the Black Panther Party was a revolutionary party. They were revolting against the system and trying to make things better. Their sole purpose initially was self-empowerment for Black people and the Black community. They evolved, of course, and opened Head Start schools, gave out free food, lunches, and breakfast every day. This wasn't like a holiday thing. Some chapters even had community centers, and they were working on building medical centers within. Strange enough, by today's standards, the Black Panthers would be on par with something that oh boy, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has always said, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Well, what Clarence didn't know that the Panthers did know was a lot of people don't have a bootstrap to pull up. So that's where they were different. Now, our movie takes place in Chicago and centers around the events that led up to the death of Fred Hampton. The first thing we learn is that Huey Newton is in jail. He was in jail between 1967 and 70 for some bogus police shootout charge. He was involved in the shooting, but it didn't happen the way they reported it. Of course, it was one of those stop and shoot. Anyway, so here we are in our film's timeline. Post, fresh, Martin Luther King's assassination and Malcolm X's. Woo! And Huey Newton is incarcerated. Those events right there lit a fire in the civil rights movements during that era that helped usher in these new civil rights revolutionaries, such as the Black Panther Party. With Fred Hampton as the chairman and leader of the Chicago chapter of the National Black Panther Party. Now, Fred was known to be a very smart, intelligent, idealistic young man. And he had a lot of great plans for the Black communities and the Panther Party in Chicago. As the party evolved rapidly under his control, he began to do smartly and outreach and gained other groups. And that's how they started to form what's known as the Rainbow Coalition, which included the Black Panthers, the Patriots, and the Young Lords. Now, to the government, that made Fred Hampton and the Black Panthers an even bigger threat, because we all know that numbers count. And Fred Hampton was wise beyond his years. I recall as a little girl in Chicago hearing about Fred Hampton. And all I ever heard from older people and adults was praise. Oh, this young man is this and that. I mean, Black people loved him. On par with King, they did. At the time of his death, he was only 21 years old. Fred Hampton and Huey Newton's style of leadership totally juxtaposed the more peaceful symbolism of the Martin Luther King movement. So by all measures, the Panthers were indeed in a league of their own. The FBI, headed by the notorious J. Edgar Hoover, played like a champ by Martin Sheen, by the way, were frightened to death by the notion of a black messiah. And they didn't want the Black Panther Party to gain any more traction, especially after they found out they had joined up to the Rainbow Coalition and that they were on par to even double those numbers. And as history would tell it, the government either murdered most of them or they just lost interest and got afraid and left the party, or many of them ended up in jail. So that brings us back to the situation at hand. In the film, the lead character, Fred Hampton, played by the great Daniel Kaluuya, who embodies Fred, man. Lakeith Stanfield gives a painfully good performance of William O'Neill, the FBI informant, or the Judas. As the story goes, and by the way, it may seem like a lot of giveaways, but this is an historical event that was put to film beautifully. So if you didn't know, there were several informants working for the government inside of the Black Panthers. William O'Neill was more renowned because he got up close and personal to one of the more famous Panthers, Fred Hampton. As a matter of fact, William O'Neill was the third person behind Fred and was the head of security in Chicago and was working for the FBI. Over and over, the FBI would come after Fred for any little thing. They came after him and actually successfully jailed him once for supposedly stealing $71 worth of ice cream that he gave to children. He went to jail for a little while. During that period of time, his fiancée, Deborah Johnson, who's portrayed beautifully by Dominique Fishback, was pregnant with his child, little Fred Hampton Jr. After Fred Hampton was released from prison, Hoover got more and more agitated and wanted to shut down the Black Panthers in Chicago more than ever. Hoover decided to basically have him neutralized. And of course, they went to good old Bill O'Neill, Mr. Judas, and they asked for his help. They commissioned him. They told him what they wanted him to do, and he did it. Bill complied and slipped a barbiturate in Fred Hampton's drink the night before the infamous pre-dawn raid, where 14 Chicago policemen broke into Fred Hampton's apartment while he was asleep, shot several people, and shot Fred Hampton dead, along with Mark Clark. These facts are known to be true. His fiancée, Deborah Johnson, was standing right outside of the room when the officers went in there to check to see if he was shot, dead, or alive, or what. He was still breathing. He was alive. And then they proceeded to shoot him in the head twice. And he said those famous words that she has attested to over and over. He's good and dead now. They killed him in cold blood. In my opinion, that Bill O'Neill, the Judas, was quite delusional because he waits till like 20 some odd years later and attests to the fact on a film, a documentary film, you can look up that, yeah, he did this and that, and he helped cause Fred Hampton's demise with the drugs and stuff. And he almost seems proud in a bragatory fashion and admits everything. And then stranger things could have never happened. Late that night, he supposedly commits suicide. He's gone, but I wonder, how strange is that? All right, you guys, present day inside the theater. Inside the theater, woo! People were really taken with this film. There were a lot of theatrics, and a lot of them were by me. You will be angry, and you might be shouting up in arms. Just a total array of feelings and emotions that this film will take you through. As you see the plight of these bright young men, Black men, that had the courage and the foresight to realize the power of the people, the power of the people. In today's pandemic world, many of the same inequities exist that existed in the 60s and 70s civil rights era. However, as a nation, every group, Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, together, we can do anything. Final thoughts. Woo! I've got quite a few. You'll find that this movie directs you to the inner workings of the Black Panther Party, which is great. You'll feel the true spirit and voices of the Panther Party, something that the new Panthers are trying to channel today, I'm sure. And I think this film is very effective at accomplishing that. So to date, Judas and the Messiah film has been nominated for numerous awards. I think it's 11 as of today's date. And I know for a fact as of today's date, they have won 4. And I think there's many, many more coming. This is an Oscar-worthy film. It is a history lesson on film that every American should see. Black, white, whatever. Everybody should see the true history of events that have taken place in America. This is one of them. So, as a footnote in the end, Fred Hampton's mother and his son filed a civil lawsuit so many odd years later, and it took 12 years to have it completed, and they settled for $1.82 million. That's just a drop in a bucket for her son's life. On a bright note, Fred Hampton Jr. and Fred's mother both carry on his legacy. They serve as chairman and board member of the new Black Panther Cubs Party. I gotta walk and talk. I give Judas and the Black Messiah a 4.5 out of 5. Amazing film. As Fred Hampton once said so famously, you can kill a revolutionary, but you cannot kill a revolution. I totally agree with that. And people, make no mistake, we're in the middle of a revolution. The world is changing every day. And as President Obama said, we are the change that we've been looking for. That's it, that's all.